Hello there, everybody. Welcome back into the finale. It's our final game, final playday of the XGS division. We're extremely excited to get to it. My name is Kingfisher, joined here by Painless. As we said, last game of the year, the vibes are up, the tempo's up. How are you feeling going into this match?
I'm feeling pretty great right now. This is going to be a very important match for both of these teams, as it not only affects their own standings in the group, but also whether or not Core Academy can still make it. There is a small chance that both SPACESHOOBS and SOAR could both qualify, but it requires some interesting numbers to come to fruition.
Yeah, and then of course, since this is the last game, after this set is over, we will have the full standings for you. So for anybody that's been paying attention all season, you will see what teams are making the playoffs right after our set here today. And speaking of the set, we have two great teams of SPACESHOOBS and SOAR, both of whom still looking for that playoff contention. So you know they are both going to be try-harding this match, which is what we love to see from our perspective. Anytime a set gets more competitive, I am here for it.
Absolutely.
And I think we will be getting into the rosters pretty soon between these two teams. There are some in-game name differences on the side of SOAR, so we can look towards them first so we can clarify just a little bit. Indeed, here is SOAR. It's Xer, Gra, Hectic, Scoob, and Temp. Temp, Xer, and Gra are all playing under different names. Or, sorry, Hectic, not Gra. So we'll get into that once the game starts, but I mean, Scoob's picture still makes me laugh every time I look at it. It is perfect.
That is great, yeah. I believe Xer's in for Mendez, right?
They play pretty interchangeably. I believe Xer's a normal player, Mendez is the sub, but I could be completely wrong on that, so don't wrong. I could be messed up. But yeah, I mean, those two players switch off a pretty decent amount, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, the rest of the team is the normal guys. I think Hectic and Gra can show up really, really big for their team at points. And of course, Scoob and Temp, no slouches in their own right. Well, that being said, let's go ahead and check out their opponents. The SPACESHOOBS are up next. It's going to be Exige, Schmink, Teddy, Toaster, and Volsper. Once again, Teddy playing under a different name, but the only one on the squad with that. So it should be pretty easy to keep track of in game.
Yeah, it's something interesting also. I believe Scoob used to be on this roster, right? When they were playing in T2 not too long ago. So he's gone to SOAR and Schmink has taken his place. So curious to see if that will have any effect on this match, or if there's any insights he might have. Could be interesting if he does.
Yeah, of course, different roster changes. You don't know, whenever they change up the strats, change up the preferences. So we'll see if there's any fun insider info that works their way into SOAR's hands. We're seeing these teams a lot, and now we're ready to look at the map vetoes. Border, Labs, Cafe, and Lair all taken out. A little interesting seeing Border this early on in the ban phases. Normally survives a little bit. Chalet first map, that is a great way to kick off a competitive set.
Yeah, looking into it a little bit, both of these teams hate Labs, they hate Cafe. I'm not surprised that both of those maps were banned right away. I am kind of surprised that SPACESHOOBS is the one that banned out Cafe, though, because SOAR, throughout all of their matches throughout the finale season so far, they have banned Labs and Cafe and Lair, all three of them, for all of their matches. So SPACESHOOBS could have been a little more flexible with their bans. They end up picking Chalet, which I think makes sense. Chalet hasn't gone the best for SOAR throughout this stage so far, and Consulate Bank and Skyscraper are all also maps I expected to go pretty far. A lot of them ended up being deciders in both of their matchups, and SPACESHOOBS banning Clubhouse also makes sense. They haven't had a great track record on that either, so these bans make a lot of sense to me. The picks make a lot of sense to me, and I think we're going to get pretty even matchups across the board. What do you think?
I definitely agree. I think I really hope I'm not misremembering, but I think we saw the SPACESHOOBS play on Chalet yesterday. They ended up losing that matchup in a pretty close one. So I'm excited to see them go back to it. I definitely think they had their moments on there they can really build off. We'll see if that's the case. And I'm happy anytime we get Skyscraper as a possible decider map. One of the most technical, the hardest to play maps in Siege. So if you're going there for Game 3, you already know the hype is going to be built up. Both teams will love it. Consulate, I think I have seen SOAR on a few times. I play it pretty well, so going into this, there's a lot of potential for either team to take these. Like you said, they ban the same maps, they play the same maps. We're going to see two teams that are very well versed on these three.
Yeah, most definitely. And The first map on the docket is Chalet. This is going to be SPACESHOOBS map. That makes sense for the most part. They've played it 3 times throughout the season, and aside from their match yesterday, they have won it the other 2 times that they played it. So I think that it's a good pick from them. They'll have a really good showing. I want to see if SOAR can fight back against them. They've played it 2 times throughout this season, and they lost it both times. So if they want to have a little bit of redemption to go a little bit further, make it into the playoffs, they're gonna have to show us what they're made of.
Absolutely, and even on their loss yesterday on Chalet, the Shoobs didn't look bad at all. It was still a competitive set. Scoreline probably a little bit more lopsided than it should have been, but all the same, both teams competitive. Shoobs just did not come out on top. They're trying to rewrite that today, and for SOAR, you don't want to start off in a 1-map hole, especially with a team as hot as the SPACESHOOBS can get. And with that being started, we are into the map. Picking bands will start right now.
Lots of talk in the chat right now. You're bantering a little bit back and forth. Ooh, a Sens band. That's new. I like that band, actually.
I do too. Chalet's always interesting for bands, right? It's one of those few ones where you see a lot of
Definitely.
vert operators banned at times between the Ram, the Buck, Hard Breach. Really anything goes. The Blitz, I think against any other team would be a surprising ban, but SOAR love this pick. They play a lot of shields, but Blitz in particular, they use until the wheels fall off. It's very good on their hands. The Kaid ban as well makes sense from the SPACESHOOBS on attack first. It looks like luckily for us, Teddy has changed his in-game name as well, so it's only going to be SOAR giving us a bit of trouble.
That's good to hear. Not too much trouble, hopefully, but yeah, the rest of these bands also make sense. Kaid, very powerful for the basement, very powerful for the holding the top floor as well, especially with the Tubarão. See that strat come around quite a bit. Zombie also makes sense, used a lot on that top floor for similar reason, to kind of hold that piano office sort of area of the map. So makes a lot of sense to me. The Sens ban is the most unusual one, but on Chalet in particular, I think that ban makes sense. There's a lot of different areas that Sens has been useful. Even before Sens got their rework, Chalet was probably one of the maps that Sens saw the most amount of play, and they've seen even more play like ever since the rework. You think about the strat that some teams have used for attacking bar games, where they're pushing in from office piano side, and they'll sends across the entire piano hallway there to push their way over to blue stairs and kind of go fast off of that. You've seen it for dining downstairs. You've seen it for kitchen downstairs. Really versatile operator nowadays. Going to be going to the top floor first. Operators make a lot of sense for SOAR. They're going to be playing the mirror. They're going to be playing the warden. Imagine that mirror window is either on the office wall, maybe looking towards solar. Depends on what kind of strategy they want to go for here. Early contestation, a little bit of tip damage onto Grim Teddy early on.
Ooh, and Scoob might need to be careful, but looks like gonna get that teleport out of there. Playing the Scopos, so not the most traditional operator. But on Chalet, there's a pretty good amount of runouts you can do, so the robot being 2 places at once definitely helps out. And then quick guide for all the viewers at home. We talked about the names on SOAR being a little different. Cargo ship is going to be Temp, food truck is Hectic, and van driver is Xer. Unless I mixed them up, but I think I've cast this team enough where I've got it down by now, so make sure to keep that in mind as we're following along. And we mentioned the shields, and they are using them, pushing up behind them. Schmiggy is going to get the opening on to Hectic there on the Warden. You don't see this every day. A fuse with a ballistic shield. I love watching these 2 teams play.
Yeah, you don't see it that much nowadays anymore, thanks to the shield, I guess, nerfs, you could say, that happened a little bit ago, but shield operator is still a shield operator, and, well, they're making use of 2 shield operators to really make that space on the library side of the map so that they can eventually get this office wall open. They have the hard breach charges on the fuse to make that happen. Looks like they're going to put a cluster charge there as well, just to make sure no one's playing close. They're going to clear out this space pretty early on. They have the Grim and the Gridlock to kind of make it difficult for these defenders to move around. Still have half of the round to go. They're likely going to start throwing out this execute utility pretty soon.
And the defense has to be careful. Without that wall, it's now going to be a lot more difficult to stay inside. Teddy gets a kill with the Bailiff. on to Xer, so now it's left in a 3v5 for SOAR, and they've completely lost the A bomb site. You can see the attackers are going to start to put it down behind the wall. No C4 available, just some Elise Banshees to stop this push, and it won't work. Cargo ship goes down. That's going to be Temp hitting the floor, left in a 2v5 post plant. We get the down onto Volsper and the kill onto Teddy, so things are manageable here for SOAR, but with the rest of the attackers outside, it is going to get worse before it gets better, but into a 2v2. Toaster dies on the piano window. That is a massive pick here for SOAR. They now just have to deal with the Monty and Schmiggy. If they can find this gridlock, they might be able to end this game. Monty is going to have to push up. They're going to go for the defuse. The Scopo's behind the wall. They'll see the head, and they don't defend it well. Schmiggy with the final kill. SOAR will lose their first round after a promising retake.
Yeah, I really like that attack out of Shoobs. They took the space really easily early on, like I mentioned, with the 2 shields. And they were able to just kind of keep that space, make sure there wasn't any sort of aggression. They had the gridlock to kind of help with that. They were able to just face check angles to kind of herd SOAR back into their positions, make sure they weren't getting aggressed on too early. They were able to open up the wall relatively for free. There wasn't any wall denial on that wall, wasn't being played. They were able to just get a pretty basic kind of post plant from there. They had the angles opened up on the wall in order to play that post plant. It did start to get a little dicey. Player in the piano window did end up dying and did end up going into that 2v2, but one of those 2 was the Monty. He was able to provide enough information to the gridlock in order for that gridlock to play it the way that they needed to, not waste their life and turn it into a 2v1 against the Monty. As a result, defenders needed to back off, feeling the pressure of a pre-fire just coming through a wall, being stared at by the Monty. They tried to go for the defuse. It didn't end up working, as the Monty was able to just kind of push back up through the hard breach hole in the wall and shut down the round from there. It's a really simple take. I am curious to see that SOAR did go to top floor first. Typically in these more like T3, T2, even T1 sort of matchups, you'll see the other sides. But we are having a little bit of a tech pause, so we are going to take a short break, and we will get right back to you with the action. Stay tuned.
the driver's seat. Don't gotta hurry in the name of love. When you ride with me, don't gotta worry when tomorrow comes. I'll put you in the driver's seat. Don't gotta hurry now, 'cause we stay in control in the name of love.
Hello there, everybody. Extremely sorry for the extended break. Had some things to sort out without getting too much into it. We had to have Xer removed from this game with a 2-round penalty, but no worries for all you SOAR fans. Mendez is here to sub in, has proven himself many times to be a very competent Siege player, so SOAR very much still in this one, albeit now at a little bit of a disadvantage. So, I mean, we're getting back into this painless talk to me already, down 3-0 on the defense. Is it a bad thing if you go to a negative split on a map like Chalet? Because the offense, more often than not, can put up 3 or 4 attacks on the board.
Yeah, Chalet does tend to be one of those maps that are more even across the board, and you'll see a lot of 3-3 splits, 4-2 splits in either direction. It really depends on the teams playing in the day, not so much the map itself. Oh, someone's been droned out. Let's see if he dies. He does. Okay, so Volsper spotted Scoop on a drone. Prone under the window, takes him out. That's an early pick. And all right, so now that that's over, yeah, the round deficit being 3-0 now will probably make it a bit more difficult for SOAR to kind of pull this back. I'm not sure how it affects the like what you call it, the site rotation, but regardless of that, yeah, regardless of that, they're gonna have to pull themselves out of a 0-3 deficit. If they want to have a good chance of making their way through, they're probably going to need to win these next 3 rounds. But we're getting into the action here. Teddy goes down, makes it a 4v4, and they're making swift work through the top floor.
Yeah, and Temp there stuck in a very difficult position, goes down to Exige here with the Monty. Had a player pushing in through the doorway as well, so very low chances of survival there for the Malusi as we get back into a 3-on-4 favoring the SPACESHOOBS. And SOAR now attacking this, or rather defending this middle site. They need to hold this top floor, and it's going to be Gra to try to re-aggress up here. They did already lose it. Dropping the shield is Exige, starting to push in. Now has one behind him. This Castle needs to be really careful. 3-4 is one thing, 2-4 is quite another. Luckily for them, though, the Shoobs aren't quite close enough to punish just yet, but they do have Toaster and Volsper both moving in. Volsper opening this window, now the Castle's in trouble. There he goes, double kill for Volsper after the hopping over by Library, and now SOAR really need a pick here to swing things back their way.
Getting down to the last minute here. It is a 4v2 as we get into these final moments. Smoke still holding up on top Solar. Mendez down below trying to hold on to their spots, and they're just not able to do so. Mendez is getting harassed by Monty, and Toaster is the one to finish him off. SPACESHOOBS wins another round on attack.
Yeah, rough round there for SOAR. I mean, the name of the game, right? They just didn't get the trades up top. I think Volsper killed 3 of them untraded that round. Really just weren't able to find the positioning to get themselves into the place to kind of get those killbacks, try to even the man count. Now they're going to go back down to the basement for SOAR. Not going to stem the other middle floor or the upstairs site. And we see the round 1 replays before we had all that pausing, as you can see. Another big round for the Shoobs before SOAR kind of pulled things back in the post plant, just weren't able to execute. So we'll see what they can do this time around. SOAR need at least 1 defense. Ideally, you'd like to see him get the next 2. It's not the most incredible split in the world, but it is definitely doable. Despite this deficit, SOAR is still a very strong team, and given from what I've seen of them, they are attacker-sided. They do favor the attack, so definitely not out of the woods yet.
Remind me again, as I haven't really casted the some of these teams. Who are Food Truck and Cargo Ship again? Food Truck is Hectic.
Food
Is that
truck's
temp?
hectic, cargo ship is temp.
Cargo ship is temp. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
But some of these players with their funny names confuse me a little bit, but should be able to remember it now. Going into the basement here, I was mentioning the site rotation, but I failed to consider the fact that it was the attack who were given the rounds, so that doesn't actually matter. So, yeah, going into the basement here, there is the M590 brothers of the Smoke and the Mute. Got the Legion for a little bit of roam potential. Got the Goyo for some stall, and they're going to be playing a pretty, I would say, relatively typical sort of defense. I believe the Kaid was banned, so there's not that option for wall denial. Yeah, the wall gets opened up pretty easily. The Goyo fire goes off, so they can't use it to walk in quickly, but I don't think that really matters to them. Getting into the next part of this round, they're trying to work this vert, trying to get these hatches open to eventually get into the execute.
Yeah, execute. Gonna be the name of the game there if they can pull that off. Quick reminder on the defense, it was Kaid and the Zami banned out. We saw Blitz go on the attack. Cannot, for the life of me, remember who the second attacker was.
Sense.
But I'm sure. The Sense, that was right, the Sense. Okay, I knew it was something weird, but
yeah,
those are the 4 bans for if anyone needed to recap. Exige now pushing down the stairs. Has to be careful because Gra sitting here in the mudroom and his Legion can really disrupt this Monty. I don't know if they've droned Gra out who's sitting on the window here. They see the goo mines around. I don't believe they actually know the Legion's position. If they do though, Monty can push in and it is a surefire kill on Gra, so has to be very, very careful.
Still have some presence inside of stock as well. If they try to push into the black stairs without getting information on that first, they might get caught out by the Goyo sitting there. They do have the connector hatch open though, so there is an opportunity, but all the way from down in stock, like I mentioned, no mind paid towards this side of the map. The Goyo will take out Exige, and suddenly their pushing power is all but gone. Diffuser's also down as well, so they need to hunt this player down, or at least get the diffuser back at the very least, so they can start working towards the site itself. But there's only a minute left. They're at a man disadvantage, and there's still a smoke on the board with 1 canister left. So they need to make sure that they use their time wisely and get some of these picks back before they go for this execute, and there it is. Teddy takes down Mendez, and that is the smoke, and this might open up an opportunity for them to push into the site.
The attack has to be careful though. They have the breach open, but the diffuser is all the way upstairs, and Hectic is making them pay. We'll finally go down to Toaster. Now Wolfsburg holding on to the diffuser. Legion throwing another one onto the stairs here. Gra get out of the mudroom successfully. Wonder if the attackers know though. The diffuser will not be coming through the main breach. It'll be coming through a hatch. Shot straight in between Toaster and Temp. But Temp will finally fall. Wolfsburg with the kill. Teddy now gonna hold the planter. He's going just behind the metal shelves. Defense will not be able to get to it with just seconds left. The diffuser goes down. Now they have to worry about 2 coming down the stairs. It's gonna be Toaster. Toaster needs to find the kill onto Scoob, and Teddy gets a second onto Gra. It's now all Scoob in a 1v2. Both attackers on low health, but no health for Scoob. Triple kill from Teddy outside the breach. And the SPACESHOOBS are here to play, up 5-0 on Chalet.
Yeah, it was kind of scary at first when their Monty just went down without really much of a fight. They didn't really pay any attention to the fact that there was a setup over by the stock area of the map. There was a reinforcement there. He was playing the long angles with the Goyo as well. Monty went down early, not even looking at him. Eventually he was traded back, but it did take, I think he got a second kill before he ended up going down, so he got 2 for his troubles on that extension and ended up putting it into a 3v3. They do manage to get the diffuser down eventually though, and while there was a player that tried to retake up through games and drop through that stock rotation that we had seen earlier through the Goyo's POV, he's just barely not able to stop the diffuser from going down, and at that point, the rest of his teammates are trying to find picks elsewhere, are not able to win their gunfights, and eventually he goes down as well in the 1v2. Really nice. Outside of the Monty going down early, they are able to pick it back up, make sure that the Goyo doesn't cause too much more damage just by getting another kill, but they are able to get into good post-plant positions, get the diffuser down in a spot where they can pull it relatively easily and win out the round from there. So good for them on pulling that back, even after Plan A had seemingly fallen to the wayside. Plan B was good enough.
It was, and luckily if you're a SOAR fan, although all these rounds have been going to the SPACESHOOBS, they've been competitive, right? The very first round, we nearly saw a post-plant retake. That round in particular, the Warden was, what, maybe half a second off of denying that defuse? Entirely different round if that happens because time was ticking low. So although they're down 5-0, SOAR are definitely still in this one. It's going to be difficult though. They are going to need to take a ton of attacking rounds, even if they get this next defensive one. So the pressure very much still on for SOAR Gaming. Speaking of gaming, they are defending gaming and bar here. So a little bit of a different setup for SOAR. I think the only site we haven't seen them defend just yet, so we'll see how it goes. It's going to look to open this wall, make things much harder, and now the vertical play will get one. Mendez with a double kill through the floor. One's just down right now, did not get Schmiggy. So as of right now, only a solo kill for the Legion, but great shots regardless. Mendez making his worth so far in round number 6.
So I saw the vision there. They went downstairs with the Ace and the Capita. They likely wanted to maybe smoke off the wall to make it more difficult to shoot off the Ace charge. I don't know what happened to the smoke grenade. Maybe they just decided not to do it. Instead, just ego swing up the vert holes. They knew it was going to be held, but they didn't quite end up winning out the gunfight. The Ace ends up dying as a result. That was all the way inside of library. Volsper tries to go for a play to clear out Mendez playing in this mezzanine position, but he gets another for his troubles. Schmink does get picked back up, so it is a 3v5 instead of a 2v5, but with Mendez doing all the work upstairs, it's going to be difficult for them to try to pull this one back, and with Scoop taking down Toaster becomes even more difficult. At this point, they're just trying to go for broke. XGS just popped his way into the site and is prone behind the half wall. They know he's there, but they can't really do anything about it just yet because his teammate, Schmink, is on the window. Yeah, XGS ends up getting a kill. I think that was a player up through the hatch. That was Mendez. Yeah, that was the top floor player, and well, this is an interesting standoff. Schmink does go down, and now XGS is the last one left. Raw takes him down as well, and that round just kind of fell to the wayside, kind of from the start.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for the Shoobs, who were looking for a little bit of a flawless half, but if you're a SOAR fan, that is exactly the round you wanted to see. They claw one back and do it pretty convincingly, I think, despite Mendez going down on the top floor. Really the only wrench in their plan is now they're going to switch sides. SOAR need to take at least 5 of these attacks to push themselves to overtime. Who wants overtime? You want the round if you are SOAR Gaming, so the SPACESHOOBS definitely have an easier job at their hands. SOAR, though, will not make it easy, and we're going to go to the top floor again first.
Yeah, these teams both just liking this top floor for their first round of defense. They seem to have an idea for what they want to do. See, the defensive operators that SPACESHOOBS has brought are the mirror and the castle. Pretty typical for the top floor. You kind of need to really rearrange the top floor just because of how many different angles and windows that you have to deal with. So you got to make some areas a little safer in order to keep a little bit of a foothold in through this top floor. So those operators make sense, but looking at the operator lineup from SOAR, they have a Blackbeard, they also have the Dokkaebi and the Lion, so they seem to kind of want to go fast. I'm curious to see where they spawn. They might try to be taking library side pretty quickly and make their way in through that, and eventually just go for kind of a default plant behind the half wall. Or maybe they might be trying to go for a solar take, which does look like the more likely option. They do have the sledge for the castle barricades. If Mendez on the Blackbeard almost seems solo on this library side, he might have another player with him, but for the most part, I don't see them. They've completely abandoned this mezzanine side of the map despite setting up. And, well, mezzanine has been taken pretty much by himself, by Mendez himself.
Doing a very nice job on the solo push-in. We'll see how much further goes here for SOAR. We're off to a pretty nice start on their very first attack, but it'll only have to keep getting better and better if they want to shut down the SPACESHOOBS. Blackbeard is pushing in very far, and similar to what we saw SOAR in the defense, they're not going for any wall denial here on the mezzanine, so it should be opened up momentarily here by Temp. On the Ace, being very, very careful of the rotate, though, and for good reason. Volsper is still sitting on the first floor library stairs. That Dokkaebi call, though, doesn't look like it's affecting them. Answered already. First time we're seeing Doke, and a jump down from Teddy will not go fruitfully. He's going to be taken down by Gra. Gra now trying to rotate back up these stairs as Volsper will find one on the flank we were talking about, and now retreating into the gaming room. It's a 4v3 favoring the Shoobs.
Yeah, it seemed like a bit of almost kind of like a split push almost. They had the Blackbeard and the Ace go on the library side of the map. The rest of the team was over Solar side and on Piano Window. And I think they just tried to like box them in a little bit. The problem was the mid-round reinforcements that happened. You kind of saw the office wall eventually got reinforced, and they were able to kind of box themselves in and focus on the solar side of the map. And they were able to just isolate it out from there. Eventually, Ace and Blackbeard, Mendez and Temp try to act off of that, and they're not able to do so. Line gets a kill onto XGS, so brings it back a little bit, maybe just being a little too aggressive in their positioning at the moment, Shoobs. And there's another one, Schmeek caught completely off guard. I think he had a shotgun out, and that suddenly evens out the man count. Grod takes down another downstairs, that's Toaster, and now Wolfsburg suddenly is in a 1v2. He has the diffuser, he has U-mines on it as well, and he spots the player on the fireplace stairs. He doesn't know where the other attacker is, though.
He went down to a frost mat.
Down to a frost mat, and they have the information on it. He's able to get the injure, get the finish as well, and now it's a 1v1 between Gra and Wolfsburg. Gra does not have any more calls, no more EMPs. Still has a drone that he can maybe try to throw out, but if there's only 15 seconds left, he needs to try to make a move now, and Wolfsburg just needs to sit tight and force the plan at this point. He gives his position away, but I don't think that's going to matter because Gra is just hitting all of these Fenrir mines. He has the diffuser in his hand, but not a lot of time. He's going to try to stick it here, and we're at 0-0, but the round is basically over. There it is. It was a chance. It was a chance that Gra could have pulled that off, but not to be.
I don't know if those body shots were warranted there from Wolfsburg. The Shoobs almost let that one slip through their fingers, but all the same, the round will go to them. So we're now on the opposite side of match point. And yeah, dude, poor Gra, I think, hit every single Fenrir mine, like looking for the one on Solar Stairs for about 30 seconds before he just gave up and got the kill on the other guy, but the result is the same. SOAR, again, even though losing that round, pretty impressive. You know, they did have a little comeback mounting there, just not enough time. In the end, being stuck on that defuse is no way to go for the Dokkaebi. Would have been in a much better position with even 10 more seconds. So, need to pick it up a little bit, as now we are going to go into round number 8, and the SPACESHOOBS already sitting on match point. Looking great if you're a Shoobs fan. Problem is, though, SOAR are still in this one, and with needing all the rest. You know they're going to be desperate. You know they're going to be doing big things. We see the Ying, we see the Blackbeard, so a lot of aggression expected this round from the boys in orange.
Yeah, most definitely. Just talking about that last round, Shoobs did end up winning it, but it went from a 4v2 into a 1v2. They need to play things a little bit closer to the chest and not give themselves away like that, unless they want SOAR to start mounting a comeback. It is down 6-1. They have plenty of opportunities to shut this down, but you don't want that gap to start getting any smaller. And you mentioned the Ying, you mentioned the Blackbeard. They're both gone. They've been picked off of. It looks like a lot more standard of... Oh, no, the Ying's there. I think they just swapped who was playing it. Blackbeard's not there, though. They're opting for the Monty instead. Rest of the lineup looks pretty typical. They bring the Thatcher Thermite to get the walls open, get rid of any wall denial. There is the Bandit and the Tuber out on the board, so that's going to be pretty relevant. They have the Ash for the mirror windows as well, assuming those aren't electrified, but it seems like they are. Ooh, they have a Monty. They're going for a rush here. Ying Candela's going in to blind these defenders, and Monty to take the space, and there's nobody home.
This is the SOAR attacks we're used to seeing as they thunder into the bomb site. There's one player in connector that could help shut this push down. It's going to be Schmiggy, who ranges out and gets one. It's going to be 2 for SOAR, though. Hectic gets one, traded out immediately by Schmiggy, and the tuber out is the answer here for SOAR. They are still trying to make it work, and they will. Mendez and Scoob with the last couple of kills, and SOAR are not done yet. 2-6 now.
Some question marks in the chat out of Teddy after that round. I guess he got caught off guard just a little bit. They really caught them just completely unaware. Nobody was playing inside of line by the time they actually pushed their way in. They used the mechanic of shield just being able to hop through barricades with the Ying just behind him to blind out any defenders that might have been lurking over by the west main stairs. We're able to take the space off of that, and Shoobs just didn't react to it. If they did, it was more of like a scared reaction or maybe a delayed reaction. I'm not really sure what it was, but they were able to take a lot of space for pretty much free. The roamers who were off the site, the Cav, and probably somebody else. Yeah, there was a Cav that round, by the way. It didn't end up doing anything because they didn't even go for a roam clear, but they had to suddenly rush back to site, and by that point, some of their players, the anchors had already gone down, and SOAR, they're just able to play the man advantage from there and shut the rest of the defense down. So a really nice pocket strat coming out of them. I don't think it's going to keep working. There's a chance that they might try to keep going fast, keep setting the pace, but they're only one round loss away to going to map number 2, so they can't afford any mistakes.
No, they cannot. Single one will be their undoing, just like you said. And on the flip side, the Shoobs now, with many, many chances to get things right, they only need one successful defense, and they will find themselves with a one-map lead. Let's see if they can get there. Plenty of time to do so, and SOAR looks like they're going to go at a much quicker tempo. Yet again, they're already making their way into the building. Not close to the bomb site yet, but this is this kind of aggressive pushing that we are used to seeing. They're going to be on this kitchen side. Now ranging down is Volspur. Volspur does not see Scoob, and Scoob will walk him down. Great kill there from the SOAR member, as now they found themselves in a 5v4.
It's almost kind of genius. Scoob had ended up walking in through the front door. Oh, that's a really nice shot from Scoob. He gets a kill onto Schmeek as well. Another one onto the 45 hull player. Siege trying to go for the refrag. Doesn't end up working, and suddenly Scoob has turned this round into a 5v2 all on his own. I was going to mention he walked in through the front door, lurked his way all the way over to Mudroom, and just kind of sat there. He ended up getting rewarded for it. He ends up getting another 2 kills after that. Teddy starts to bring it a little back a little bit, though. Takes down the Ash. I believe that's Tactic, and makes it into a much closer affair. Suddenly, he gets another one, 2v3, and while the attack needs to make sure their numbers don't keep dwindling, getting shot from the vert, needs to be careful. Mendez in towards the bomb site. Scoob all the way over by mezzanine. They're all over the place. They need to consolidate and come up with a plan soon, or these numbers are going to go in the favor of Shoobs.
It's a quad from Scoob. He is looking for the ace. Can he find it? No. Toaster will finally shut it down, but the damage is done. Mendez is going to put this diffuser on the floor. It's going to be all on Toaster to try to claw this one back and see if he is able to do so. It'll be a tough ask with 2 in the post plant, but if anyone is up for the challenge, it will be Toaster. Vision in towards the bomb site, which is, of course, down in A. Or no, it's in B, but it won't matter. Gra with the kill. The round is over, and that is another victory here for SOAR. We're starting to string a couple together.
Yeah, and these rounds are super important. The massive round differential that they have right now in this matchup is actually rather important for the standings for this matchup. As of right now, there is a potential for there to be a 3-way tie between SOAR, SPACESHOOBS, and Core Academy. And that's if SOAR managed to win 2-1. There is a very, very slim possibility that if SOAR wins 2-1 against SPACESHOOBS with a round differential of no less than -1, they actually qualify while also causing Core Academy to lose the tiebreaker to SPACESHOOBS. So there is a very small possibility where if SOAR 2-1 SPACESHOOBS with really just not having a terrible round differential on any of these maps, then both of these teams could potentially qualify. Of course, if either team wins 2-0, then they knock the other one out. If Shoobs wins 2-1, then they knock SOAR out. But each of these rounds matter quite a bit, because if SOAR doesn't let any of these rounds be a dominant, or any of these maps be a dominant, like, stomp, then they're almost guaranteed to make their way in.
They should be, so we'll see if they're able to slow down the roll here. SOAR, they're looking good on these attacks so far, but as we've said multiple times, one slip-up will be the end of it for this orange team, so we'll see just how up to the task they are. Attacking the basement once again, so a very defender-favored site. They're going to go for the normal top-down clear. There is one playing on the top floor. It's going to be Teddy there on the Goyo. So the Shoobs with a very, very extended lead, and they're also playing the Clash. That's how you know, desperation mode for the Shoobs. They still got plenty of time, though, so we'll see if the British operator can get the job done.
And they do have the Clash on board this time. Is great for retakes, is great for holding down certain areas of the map that you have a pretty good idea that the attackers are going to try to take in through. And looking at the lineup from SOAR, they have a very execute-heavy, very sort of area denial, kind of crowd control style of attacking lineup at the moment. They have the Gridlock, they have the Grim, and they have the Monty to kind of push themselves in, face check what they need to. Main thing that's going to stop that, the Clash against the Monty, gonna make it a lot more difficult for Monty to just kind of walk how he wants to. And speaking of walking how he wants to, Scoop tries to walk to the site. The Clash suddenly looks at him and it kind of scares him off. Goes back outside, and we're already at the halfway mark.
It's pretty funny too. I could be wrong, but I think that deployable shield is literally stopping the Clash from walking any further into that bomb site. Oh, wait, no, never mind, never mind. Exige found his way around it. So the Clash will be able to reach out. What a kill by Volsper, who was one of the top fraggers for the Shoobs in their 2-0 loss yesterday, and he has regained his form up to 9-4, looking to make it 10-4. Damage will land onto Temp, but not quite enough. Guman stepped on here by Mendes, so that'll slow the push down just a little. With 1 minute left, you do not want any more delays. Looking at the Shoobs, they're trying to walk back up this kitchen side. They could catch cargo ship Temp here, really unaware, but instead they will both fall back to the basement. It's going to be a strong defense here, and what I would assume is going to be a breach push, but Gra with the diffuser is still sitting on breach. Kill will come through for Temp here. He's being very careful of the flank, and rightfully so, but all the defenders are still in the basement. Smoke on these stairs is the only one, even close to the first floor, and the Smoke is taking some damage, trades it right back onto Hectic. Last smoke grenade used, so they're going to have to rely on Goyas for the rest of this round. 20 seconds, though, it will stall the entire round. Mendes is only going to be able to plant this with about 3 seconds left. But no, the fire runs out early, so if SPACESHOOBS have any idea, they should be able to stop the plant. But look at the Clash. The Clash doesn't hear the plant going down. The Clash is right there. Will take out the Monty right before the diffuser goes down. What a play here by Exige. It's all left on Gra, and it won't matter. The SPACESHOOBS take map 1. What a last-second defense there as it all comes crashing down for SOAR.
Yeah, really just unfortunate that the Clash was able to just kind of exist. I had the gridlock to maybe dissuade him from moving around as much, but it didn't end up happening. They didn't have the tools that they needed, and well, they're able to just use that retaking capability, like I mentioned, that the Clash has, and use it to great effect. The Monty almost like he wasn't fed the information that the Clash was doing this this maneuver. They were able to just kind of walk out, do a little bit of a 180 spin, and he just wasn't aware. And unfortunately, that's going to be the end of that for that map. So yeah, we'll be going into the second map here in a little bit. That is going to be the first map for Shoobs. Like I was mentioning before, if Shoobs, if either of these teams wins 2-0, then they knock the other one out. Obviously, SOAR at this point can't do that. Shoobs now has the opportunity to do so in the next map. But yeah, really good stuff coming out of Shoobs.
Yeah, it really was. It was a dominant game number 1 victory. Even without those couple rounds, still looked pretty good all throughout, so definitely can't complain too much about the results. But as you said, the 2-1 is still needed for SOAR, and luckily for them, it's still on the table, right? Even with this loss, they are very much in contention, very much will be looking to put their print on map number 2, send us on to the map 3. As a reminder, map number 2 is Consulate, and we will be getting there very, very soon. Gonna throw it over to one short break, and we will be back with game number 2 between the SPACESHOOBS and SOAR. Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. Getting now into game number 2, but a quick recap of game 1. The SPACESHOOBS able to take that one with a 7-3 scoreline, dominance from the Dogs. The SOAR, you know, it didn't look like a 7-3, right? They had their moments, they had their chances, and as you pointed out during that game, they do need both these next maps in order to help make it to the playoffs. They're going to be up for the challenge as we go on to Consulate, so I want to know, one thing, multiple things, whatever it is, what do SOAR have to change to get themselves into a game 2 victory here?
I'm trying to think of how they need to adapt their playstyle to what Shoobs is doing. It seems like a lot of some of the more like typical sort of setups and attacks and whatnot. Maybe what they need is to switch some things up and maybe just try something. Maybe if they have a strat book, dig into it a little bit and see if they can come up with something to kind of throw them off guard and throw them off pace, because it kind of seems that Shoobs kind of seemed comfortable. They seemed really comfortable with what they were doing. They weren't ever panicking at any point, except for maybe like 1 or 2 rounds, but for the most part, they were pretty comfortable. So I think what SOAR needs to try to do is to make them as uncomfortable as possible with what they're doing. Try to apply as much phantom pressure as possible. Try to make sure that nobody feels safe.
Definitely be a pretty good game plan. And of course, the attack's a big talking point of that first game. The defense only winning 2 of the 10 rounds that we saw, so the attackers flexing their wings. Now coming on to Consulate. It's not traditionally an attacker-sided map, but it's one where if you're good at attacking it, you are really good at attacking it. So we'll see if either of these 2 teams are up for the challenge. SOAR will be starting on that half, so if I'm the SPACESHOOBS, I don't know if I'd ban Blitz again, but ban a shield up or ban Ying. So really likes to use those 2 to kind of get their aggressiveness in check. That's what they follow behind. We'll see what the first ban is, because the Shoobs do have that first overall ban. They'll go ahead and take out the Blitz, same as last time.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And even though Consulate isn't necessarily a shield map, you can say that there's an exception for taking it through the top floor. You can see yellow drops happen every so often. Well, both shields are going to get taken off, but you see that happen throughout the top floor. Otherwise, shields just overall are still very powerful. Both of these teams like to run shields. You saw plenty of the Monty play out of both of these teams, so I think that makes sense. The mirror ban also makes sense. There's a lot of good mirror window spots on every floor, so that also makes a lot of sense. Seeing what the last ban is. Goyo. I like that ban. That's a good one.
It's smart too, right? Because Consulate is such a big map, and I mean, make no mistake about it, Goyo is better than Smoke for time wasting if those Goyo canisters are still up at the end of the round. I mean, nearly it completely kills you pushing through that fire, and it lasts for so long. So I definitely like the ban from SPACESHOOBS. If you're not going to play it, do not let SOAR play it. We'll see. They're going to go upstairs first, so no real surprises there. I'm always interested to see how teams hold this top floor. Some put pressure onto different rooms, some just kind of turtle up in sight and try to hold that secretary office out there. So definitely interested to see what the Shoobs got up their sleeve.
Well, there's 2 main kind of attacks that happen for this top floor. The first one is trying to get a plant on the CEO window, right? That window that has that tight little nook in the corner that you can kind of swing into and be relatively safe. The only thing that really ends up stopping it ends up being like a nitro cell. Lots of smoke play from like the middle of the site ends up trying to stop that. Goyo as well, which has been banned out, which is, I think, is important for that. You'll typically also see it with some pressure from the bathroom window, some drops from the yellow skylight, kind of just try to pinch them out of any areas where they can swing onto the planter and eventually just play the close plant from there. The other one is the admin take, the pushing into vending hall, burning out the shield that's typically put there and getting a plant down on the projector room door. That is the other one. Typically, you want some presence by spiral. You want to get a lot of information on the admin side of the map, and maybe have one or two, maybe just one person as a bit of a backstab counter pressure over again by that yellow side of the map. It looks like it's going to be more of a yellow-sided take based on the silhouettes, but there are a lot of different entry points into this top floor of the map. It just depends on which one they want to choose.
There really is, and I like that they bring the floor as they got plenty of utility to deal with the castle barricades, the zombie barriers, whatever you need. And there is the only C4 from the SPACESHOOBS now off the table. Teddy tossing it towards Scoob. Unable to get it though. So now they do have a smoke, but they don't have C4s. They don't have deployable shields either. So as far as the utility game goes, they are really counting on this zombie to kind of hold up in the site and hoping those castle barricades last a long time. Theoretically, I mean, off of not intel, whatever it is, utility alone, SOAR, at a massive advantage here, but XG is going to be very difficult to push out of this spot. If there's a magnet over here, there is still one frag grenade left for Hectic here on the Deimos. The smoke should be able to hold this, takes a little bit of damage from the window though, believe. Actually, I don't know who that is hanging out on the rappel there, but regardless, they get a lot of damage onto the smoke, and one pushing in downstairs needs to be careful about what they open here, because Hectic is here.
Yeah, and it's the Deimos too. There's tons of vert potential that the Deimos can have. If they can get information on where exactly the smoke is playing, he has a mute jammer at his feet. They can maybe get rid of that, then maybe they can get this smoke out of position and eventually go for a CEO plant, but they need to start making some work happen here. The castle barricade on this door, on the Sui Balk, has been taken down, so there is a little bit of cutoff presence from Scoob. He's gonna walk in. He knows the castle is there, but he doesn't react in time. Schminks takes him down with the super shorty. Exige gets a kill as well. Gra goes down, but he's traded back in turn by Mendez. So now that closet position is empty, retaken very swiftly by Toaster on the Wamai, but now he's getting hunted down by the Deimos. They need to be careful about this vert pressure. There's a lot of presence on that CEO side. Plant starts to go down. They're going up to the window. The cover isn't good enough. Flores goes down. Toaster makes a play to stop the plant. And now it is a 4v2 with 20 seconds left.
Now it's going to be Hectic losing health on yellow, losing the life as well. Goes down to Volsper. Mendez going to put a quick call out. And yeah, the lack of cover on the diffuser hurts them there. SOAR now just 10 seconds to get 4 kills, and they're not even going to get the first. Volsper finds another. And just so close there from SOAR. If Mendez is able to get the player range in there, the diffuser goes down. It is an entirely different round. Result the same. Shoobs up 1, so they continue their defensive dominance here through a couple of maps. Now going to go downstairs. Pretty much the expected site rotate. I'm interested to see if they win this, which middle floor site they kind of prefer, because those two are some of the most fun to watch in my opinion, and so many teams have so many kind of different thoughts on them.
I think most teams prefer the piano exhibition site over the split site, just because split sites tend to be a little difficult to try to hold. I believe that tends to be the tertiary site for most teams, but I am kind of concerned about the attack from SOAR. It felt like they didn't really have a game plan going into that, and I mentioned before about the two different kinds of takes that people tend to do on the top floor. There wasn't really much utility dedicated to like the admin side, right? There wasn't a lot like put over there. There wasn't a shield. There wasn't anything. It was really mainly just the castle barricades and the zombie barriers to kind of make the site itself a little bit easier to play, and they had the double shotguns as well over on that closet side. Yeah, I think there just needs to be a little bit more information gathering from SOAR if they want to win out on these rounds, to make sure that they have the right decisions going forward into these rounds. Getting into this next round, there is a Scopos playing on the top floor of this map. It's likely going to be a very isolated roam to kind of waste some time, and then eventually teleport back to the site. And they're gonna try to waste as much time as possible. They might have a little bit of assistance on the first floor, but that's going to be the game plan from them this time around. Uh-oh.
40 seconds gone in this round, and a nice shot on a Scoob will put them on the ground. XGS, though, low health as well, and Scoob should be able to be picked up. There is a Nitrocell in hands of Toaster, but he's on the other side, and how about that? Hectic just doesn't react to getting shot in the foot, and Toaster will get the kill, now has to fall out because of the pushing attackers. It's a 3-on-5 for the moment. Gra will make his way over to revive Scoob, though, so back into a 4v5. But now this Maverick is going to have to be so careful on the wall and sacrifices a drone for some reason. Gra gonna range into yellow here, looking for some sort of a kill, working in. It's actually a very lax hold on the garage itself from the Shoobs.
Yeah, that could be a great backstab if they recognize that there isn't anyone there. There's so much attention being put on this backside of the map, and oh my gosh, 3 players just dropped down the hatch from Visa, catching the entire attack on the archive side of the map completely off guard. And well, now they can just all run back to site and focus their attention, but Gra has taken up some space inside a garage. Scoob takes down XGS as well, and while it is a 2v4, all of the defenders are off the site. They don't have any control, so they need to try to make their way back. And honestly, if they had the diffuser, they could try to go for something here, but unfortunately, it seems like they don't. They have to try to get it. I guess that makes sense as to why they're not holding the site itself. They're going to try to use the utility here. They use the Maverick Torch and the Peak from the Ash to perfection, is able to take out Schmink and makes it a lot closer of an affair. It's a 2v3, but there's information on their push. Camera on one side, the Element on the other, and Gra eventually goes down, and now Scoob at 1 HP needs to try to contend with 3 players on the side of Shoobs. And there's not really anything he's going to be able to do as he gets taken down by the first one contending.
An interesting round. I mean, literally looks like
Yeah.
the teams flipped sides in the middle of that with the Shoobs dropping down the hatch. Like the attackers just thundering through. Result is the same, and as you predicted, Expo Piano will be the next one on the docket. The Shoobs looking strong this game, and from SOAR, like, sure, they get garage open, but everyone died. It just doesn't matter. They have to work their way through the entire basement. And that kill was crazy. I mean, Hectic never even turned around. There's a replay of the triple drop. One of the funniest things I've seen in a good minute.
Yeah, that
but
was
result is
crazy.
still the same. SOAR now still needing to work their way back, because they're now down 2-0. Luckily, though, we talked about it when we came in, right? This is a heavily defender-sided map. It's not panic time yet for SOAR.
No, definitely not. They still have an opportunity to start bringing this back. Even a 2-4 split isn't the worst thing in the world on attack if you're able to manage it. So as long as they're able to just win some of these tertiary sites, they'll be all right. But we're going into this next round, and both of those rounds from SOAR, it just felt like there wasn't a lot of cohesion as for what they wanted to do. Once again, they kind of split up a little bit and didn't really have an idea for what they wanted to go for. They had a couple players over. They had the Maverick, and I think it was, yeah, they had the Maverick and the Ash kind of over by bottom yellow and by the main wall. And I get that the Maverick, I guess, was to give a little bit of counter pressure to make sure that they couldn't just sit safely inside a garage. And the rest of the push was to kind of pinch out from the backside, but I don't think that's what they should be trying to go for here. Okay, Hectic takes out Schmink, who I think was peeking out of the suicide balcony wall. So lots of aggression. Hopefully he had his Kite Claws already placed, but if not, that could have been awkward. But yeah, an early pick for SOAR is already a much better start than they've had the last couple of rounds, and we're getting into the last 2 minutes of this round. I want to see them try to capitalize on that and keep pushing forward.
Positioning here from XGS, very interesting, trying to hide away inside of V's office. Unfortunately for him, though, most of the attackers going in through the second floor. I believe Scoob is the only one on first, going to be joined by Mendez here outside. Second C4 down here for the SPACESHOOBS, but this one will find the mark. There goes Temp. And the Blitz, or not the Blitz, the Buck rather, is a lot of soft destruction off the board. Going to really be relying on Gra here on the Ash to kind of pick up the pace for that one as they still try to clear off these defenders who are holding their position in the office, but it won't matter. Gra gets one on a Toaster. Now it's only Volspur left upstairs, but on the stair, or left upstairs and on the yellow stairs, could look to fall back soon. Minute and a half to go.
Yeah, Toaster just getting shot in the back there. He's trying to retreat back into the corner of CEO. He probably wanted to eventually rotate back down by maybe jumping through the window. but he isn't able to do so, and that just keeps the man advantage in favor of SOAR. And now they're making their way through the top floor. There is a player, 2 defenders, in fact, still trying to hold on to this top floor to make sure they don't give it away for free. One trade goes back each way, and Wolfsburg is still on this top floor, trying to fight back as much as he can. XGS makes his way up through the top floor to help him out, and goes for the flank, gets one, and the last player on the attack on the top floor gets pinched out. Now in a 1v2, Scoob needs to make something happen, and he's planning in the safe spot in the back corner. It looks like he might make it out too, and he does, but he's on 1 HP. Wolfsburg is as well, but he needs to be careful that he does not get caught out. That is unbelievable that that diffuser went down, but he has an opportunity to win this out now.
Wolfsburg is in 1 on first floor as of right now. XG joining them from Spiral, and they're both looking towards the same doorway right now. That Azami is going to slow Scoob down. He's going to have to find some way to deal with it, but can still see the diffuser. It's not the end of the world. Azami going to range all the way around, but here comes XG from Spiral Stairs. Scoob needs to find this kill. XG going to the right side. Scoob looks back at the wrong time, and XG finds a kill.
Takes down the last attacker, and is
will
the
not find their
post-plant.
third round because there's not enough time. Are you kidding me?
It's not.
SOAR win.
Scoob holds on for just long enough. They don't get on the diffuser soon enough.
They just
and
didn't.
That is a 1v2 clutch for Scoob in the dying moments of that round. Tucked in the corner just far enough to not be seen from the vert, and is able to play the post plant just good enough to get SOAR their first attacking round.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
So it would seem like I am on my own for the time being. No worries, Kingfisher will be back when he's able to, I suppose. But yeah, just me for now. Moving on to the second quarter, I guess you could say, of this matchup. Moving back onto the top floor this time around. There's going to be a cap can on the board, maybe to deal with a Monty if it were on the board, but it's not. Might get swapped onto, but they're going to try to hold the admin side of the map. It looks like they have a lot of information. They have the Ela mines, they have the Valkyrie cameras. Going to be trying to hold as much of this map, much of the top floor as possible. Have a bit of a, almost like a matrix set up across this map, across the top floor of this map with the Wamai magnets as well. A lot of these players going to be relatively protected with the way that they're going to kind of hold this down. Holding very far to admin too. They have reinforcements all the way over on the break room side of the map. Yeah, Teddy also playing within admin might catch somebody off guard. He even gets Wolfsburg to throw in his zombie barrier kind of on the doorway to kind of make it seem like nobody's in there. Might catch somebody off guard here. Almost does, but XG manages to run all the way into the basement. Gra missing his opportunity to get the first pick. And now XG can kind of just exist for a little while. They might eventually try to hunt them down, but if they do, that'll waste a lot of time, so they need to be mindful about their time. 2 minutes left in the round, and they are trying to hunt this player in the basement, but they don't know where he is. They don't have any roam clearing capabilities to figure out that information, and, well, in the meantime, Gra is taking down Teddy. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe he was taken down through the hatch, or maybe some vert. I imagine that was the case, considering that Gra is just below where Teddy was playing. But they still are worrying about XG. He's still existing in this basement. And now he's all the way over on yellow stairs. He might be going for a run out here, and he takes the opportunity, gets 2. And Wolfsburg gets 1 as well. And suddenly it's a 4v2. XG taking the opportunity with the time that he had wasted to go for that run out. And they're just completely caught off guard, SOAR. And we're moving into the halfway point of this round. It's now at 2v4. Hectic's still looking for this player in the basement, but he's long gone at this point. He's not there anymore, so they need to start moving their way onto the bomb site. Gra has also made his way into Projector, catches somebody off guard, but once again misses the shots, and now they know that he's here. Wamai's hanging around this corner. Siege does eventually go down to Hectic, but he needs to be careful of the other players aggressing onto him, and he's not able to shut them all down. Gra goes down as well, and SPACESHOOBS are able to close down another defense on the top floor of Consulate. So, really nice stuff out of them. Really nice job from XG to kind of just exist as this sort of lurk presence in the basement. He's able to get so much value as a result because he wasn't able to get cleared out. There wasn't any roam clearing capability from the side of SOAR. They didn't have the operators that they needed to do so. and they get taken advantage of in that moment. Unfortunate for them, but it's not really, I don't think they really expected just a solo roaming Kapkan in the basement. Not really much you can really do there, but they need to try to cover their bases just a little bit more if they're going to try and win out this game and push us to map number 3, SOAR. So once again, I feel like it just came down to a bit of indecision. They weren't really sure. Like, they seemed like they wanted to go for that sort of roam clear for the basement. They wanted to clear out Exige from the basement, but they didn't really dedicate everyone. They only dedicated like a couple of players, maybe, and it didn't end up really working out for them. So they just need to make a decision on what they want to do, and they need to stick with it. They can't have 3 players doing one and 2 players doing other. And I think Kingfisher is back with us. Hello, Kingfisher.
Hello, that round win by SOAR was so good, my PC couldn't believe it. It really just had to take a minute and stop itself. But I'm back now, and it looks like SPACESHOOBS got the last round as well, so SOAR get to reattempt this bottom floor attack, which honestly would have went much better the first time around if they didn't lose Diffuser. And it looks like this time they have it on Garage, so not going to be in danger of that. They're just going to look to push in early. We'll see if Toaster and Exige can keep this wall closed, though.
And the Tuber are doing a lot of work here to make it just that little bit more difficult to get this wall open. They're doing the classic Kaid Tuberau tricking that exists nowadays with this operator combination to keep this wall closed. Ooh, there's a... Nope, not quite. Wall eventually does get opened up. There it is. Not quite keeping it closed, but kept it closed for a little while. That was a whole minute of the round, so... Not too bad util usage out of them. The Azami just to keep this space, to make sure that they can still persist at least a little bit within Garage. These peaks coming around. A really nice shot from Volsper onto Scoob on the left side of the Garage wall. And Gra had gone down earlier as well, so that makes it a 5v3 and make it a 5v2 as Toaster takes down Hectic. And now Mendez and Food Truck. I forgot who that was. I think it was Temp.
Hectic.
Need to try to make something happen. Oh, that's Hectic. Well, in any case, they need to try to make something happen. It's now a 1v4. Toaster goes down, gets the finish, tries to go for the second, doesn't get it. SPACESHOOBS win another defensive round, and that felt really fast.
It did. 3 of them peeked the exact same angle onto Toaster as well. I don't know what the plan is there, but the TCSG does not miss with that ACOG on it, and it's about a 1-2 shot kill, so... Yeah, really, really difficult angle to peek into. Also, hasn't been stated, but Volsper is 7-0 right now. We saw him pop off on map number 1. He popped off yesterday for the SPACESHOOBS. And now just continuing that tear. I'm going to go back to Expo and Piano. And even though this was the round SOAR won, in reality, the SPACESHOOBS should have won that round. They just took too long on the diffuser. So for SOAR, they're really going to need to get going here. It is a defender side of the map, but if you can go down 2-4 instead of 1-5, definitely going to be better. At the very least on the mental. So SOAR going to have a big round in front of them. And here we see the sense. It was banned out in game number 1. So excited to see what Hectic is able to do with that pick.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. If you're bringing an operator like a Sens and an Amaru, like those kinds of operators, typically means you have some kind of very specific set play that you want to try to do. You have a very particular plan for where their utility is going to be used and where it's going to be placed. So I'm excited to see what they have cooked up. I want to see this strat come to fruition. I was mentioning it before that I kind of want to see these sort of off-pace kind of plays and maybe try to catch SPACESHOOBS off guard to kind of bring themselves into this match. This might be one of those plays that will succeed and push them onto that 2-4 scoreline like they need, and I'm excited to see if it happens. But a jump out happens and Teddy takes Scoob down. That's the Finka. It's not the most important operator, but the action, it seems like, is going to start happening soon.
It will do that. There are 2 members down now for SOAR. The Amara going to move into the site, and it looks like there is a defender sitting here with the super short. He could go big. Exige goes down, though, and that is the defender playing close. Volsper will follow as well as first death across 6 rounds. Needs to pull out a goo mine, and Mendez will pay for it. Toaster with a kill here. If you thought last round was quick, wait until you get a load of round number 6. All on to Tempe and Hectic. 2 trucks to get this one closed. Schmiggy and Toaster still playing above. Teddy is on floor. The C4 for Schmiggy now is going to wall off Teddy, who pushes in and won't get the kill. A nice shot from Hectic as Temple go down with the shield and the diffuser. Gonna be a very big loss here for SOAR. Now have all their hopes relying on Hectic. So close to seeing the Kaid up top, but Schmiggy still hiding away behind the little half-all there by the window. Toaster, being up in CEO office, is going to be very difficult for Food Truck to push down. All the Kaid has to do is watch this diffuser, and he is painting outlines around him, but cannot find the Kaid.
Yeah, the defenders are just biding their time. They don't really need to do anything at this point. All they need to do is force down the plant and just deny it when he goes for it. They don't need to make any aggression. They're not peeking the vert holes just yet. They're biding their time, playing the fundamentals at the moment. Nade's just getting tossed out kind of willy-nilly just to see if maybe they can get some kind of reaction out of them, but nothing happens. And well, there's only 50 seconds left. There is still a decent amount of time, but unless he's able to take down these players, he's not going to be able to do anything. I think he's going to try to bait out the players peeking the vert holes. They do end up doing so. Schmeek almost goes down for it, but not quite. Very lucky that he didn't lose his life, but important part is that he is still alive. So with only 30 seconds left, Food Truck, I keep reading which is trying to just bait out these players playing on the vert. Is going to try to bait them out again. Once again, Schmink is going to peek down, but this time he gets the finish and is able to take him down. And that's going to be a 5-1 half for SPACESHOOBS. It's going to be a long way to climb for SOAR to get back into this.
Yeah, it's another 5-1 half for the Shoobs, very similar to Chalet. Luckily, though, on this map, going on to the defense, I think SOAR actually has a much better chance of coming back than they did in map number 1. In that scenario, though, I mean, that Hectic needs to calm down. Shooting and nothing, running around. I think pulled off the diffuser maybe 4 different times. Unfortunately, not enough in the end. The position's up top without being pushed out. I mean, you can just see that entire bomb site. Really nothing that the Sense could do, very unfortunately, for all the SOAR fans watching along. Now, the Shoobs need 2 attacking rounds in order to win this game. SOAR needs to be nearly flawless on their defense. They're already pulling out the big guns. They have the Nook, they have the Striker, they have the Deimos. SPACESHOOBS are not going to mess around. I always love seeing Nook gameplay if it goes well, and Teddy is a very good Nook.
Yeah, I was mentioning earlier about the two different, once again, the 2 different kinds of takes for this top floor. Typically, it'll either be kind of like a pinch sort of fundamentals playing off of one another by the bathroom window, top yellow, CEO, and playing it like that. But the other one is playing the admin side of the map with maybe a backstab coming in from maybe like top spiral or top yellow. And seeing as there is a Nook on the board and a Flores as well, I think that is what they are trying to go for here. They're likely going to play on the admin side of the map and try to clear out the util from that side. And once they start to kind of clear out this util, they're going to send Teddy in somewhere in the back line to get a bit of a backstab and take advantage of the chaos. Curious to see where he does end up eventually going into, but I imagine it's going to be somewhere on the first floor. Speaking of the first floor, Gra is here in the front lobby, is looking for anyone peeking through the front door, is only going to find a drone for his troubles and make his way back, but just putting the phantom pressure onto SPACESHOOBS on this defense.
Yeah, Gra's been a big part of these teams' attacks. Going to need to hold strong on the defense as well. No Thatcher on the board, so they can't deal with this Electric Claw just yet. They don't have the Impact EMPs either, so if they want to get that wall open, you gotta hope that a Flores drone gets close, or you gotta send somebody down to the first floor to try to get that Electric Claw off from below. Regardless, though, looks like that wall is going to stay closed, at least for now. So the SPACESHOOBS will have to find a different avenue, and it looks like a lot of their presence being put here onto the yellow offices, but look at this. I mean, Teddy's just up. Teddy's looking at the vending machine, but he gets spotted immediately there.
There was no way he expected him,
Gra will die. The refrag, though, very nicely done here by Teddy.
Yeah, there was no way he was going to expect him prone there. That was a very smart play out of Teddy. Like I said, the lurk play just kind of, it didn't end up being a backstab. He ended up just kind of walking up on his own and ended up getting a kill. Could have maybe had more impact if it was with the rest of his team. Regardless, he does get a pick for it. Good enough, he gets the entry, was traded, but makes a lot of space for his team. Exceed also from down below is able to kill the player playing in the closet over through the hatch. And that's going to be Gra. And that's your smoke and your warden down very quickly. And that's not going to be good for this execute that eventually is going to come through. And suddenly it is a 2v3 as well, as Mendez and Toaster both go down in on each side. And 50 seconds left. Schmink can maybe try to go for a swing in here. Is going to mask the sound with the ace charge, but it's not really gonna do much of anything because they realize that Kite is playing over by this window, so they need to be careful. They need to try to force him out if they want to try to go for anything here. XGS is still down below looking for picks, still trying to force them into the crosshairs of the players playing by top yellow and by the window. Atrocell comes out, isn't able to find anything, and now they're gonna double up to see if they can 2v1 some of these players. 20 seconds left. They need to try to make something happen. They're trying to swing in and push their way in. Schmink eventually gets in, but not before his teammates both die, and now he's in a 1v2. He needs to try to isolate these gunfights. He has Diffuser in hand, but there's not much he can really do at this point. He can try to find these picks, but at this point, it's too late. He just was indecisive in what he wanted to do. He doesn't get the final picks. SOAR down 1-6. Map point.
I think
Oh,
SOAR
wait.
actually won that round. So
No, they
2-5,
won that round.
2-5.
Sorry. I'm kidding.
You know, got me. So good job.
Yeah, I
there,
got you.
SOAR.
I tricked you as a test. Yeah.
All intentional. All intentional. Just making
definitely.
sure I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
So we're now down 2-5 as they're going to go down to the basement. Looks like a very similar to defense. At least in composition to what we saw with the Shoobs. Of course, Tubrao and Kaid being taken. Seeing the smoke as well to help deny some time here. Looks like Shoobs starting out with the shield as well. We saw a little bit of shield gameplay from SOAR. Surprisingly, though, I don't think they played shield either the time they attacked the basement, which very not used to. With that team, they really do like their shield operators. So, and as I say, it gets switched off of because, of course, casters can never call anything right in that pre-phase. XGS going to go to the Maverick instead, try to deal with some of that wall. Interestingly, we see a Jackal as well. Of course, Jackal is not reworked yet. That's coming in CJack, so Toaster will be on the old Jackal build. Still with 3 tracks, but can ping these defenders multiple times. Interested to see how much of a vertical roam SOAR brings. I'm used to seeing some vert gameplay from the attackers here, and with the Ram, that should be what we see from the SPACESHOOBS. But when the Shoobs were on defense, they really kind of just held this backside. They didn't go upstairs at all.
Yeah, they did mostly hold that back site, and it seems like it's going to be a bit of a different attack. They do have the Maverick to probably go up to that main wall, similar to the way that SOAR did. They have a lot of roam clear potential as well. Lurk potential with the Nook in addition to that. I imagine if there were anyone roaming that these players are going to get caught off guard. And speaking of getting caught off guard, Scoob tries to go for a play to take Schmink out, but he's caught off at just the wrong moment, rather. Schmink takes him down barely, but that could have been disastrous for SPACESHOOBS.
Yeah, it really could have been, you know. Shoobs with an opening kill, though, and on to Scoob as well, right? That's one of the operators that just gets better the longer the round goes. Being able to throw out more of those goo mines would have been pretty nice for SOAR. And another run out. Are you kidding me? Wow, they're grasping at straws here. Gra doesn't die. Somehow, it's a little bit of damage onto XGS, but SOAR needs to be careful. They're trying to do something to get caught up here, but if they do too much of it, they are going to start paying for it very, very soon.
Yeah, I think just trying to get a pick back to even out the man count, but they need to just preserve their life just a little bit more. If they are going to try to go for something, they need to try to go for something together. And they try to go for these things solo, they are going to get caught off guard. And if this player at the bottom of yellow is not careful, he's not going to live for very long. He gets a pick for his troubles, but he does end up dying. XGS going for the refrag onto Teddy, who was walking down the yellow stairs. They maintain their man advantage, and now the vert is starting to get worked as well. Trying to take gunfights back up through the vert. Schmink takes down Mendez in the chaos, and now SOAR in a 2v4 as they need to try to make something else happen. Dokubi calls second one of the round rings out. Their positions are going to be given away, or even just where they're not is going to be given away. The attack is going to start moving in here pretty soon, and there isn't much that SOAR is doing about it at the moment. That being said, pick onto the bottom spiral player. They could try to snowball off of this. Gets another one, 2v2 now.
Great play from Hectic to get those two, and now there's nobody else pushing down Spiral. As we say that, Volsper will enter. And now Hectic's going to hear it. Should be able to find the advantage on Volsper, but looks away at the wrong time. Here's him on the barbed wire. He's going to swing out, and he's going to pay for it. Hectic goes down. Volsper with a 9th. Looking for a 10th. Is this going to be Temp getting the first one onto Dokubi? Nearly misses the shots onto Schmink, but will get it eventually. 20 seconds remaining here. Volsper and Temp, the last alive for their squad. Shot will land onto Volsper. Both players around half HP. Wolfsburg ranging around, gonna look for the kill, swings in with the R4C. Will he land the shot? Looking the other way, but Temp still escapes the damage, and the super shorty for the win. SOAR stay alive. 3-5. What a last-second clutch there by Temp.
Yeah, really nice job from the last two defenders from SOAR. Isolating the 1v1s. You saw whoever it was on the K, I honestly completely forgot, but isolating the 1v5s. Yeah, say again?
Hectic?
Hectic? It's Hectic.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry. I'll never get the weird names, but he
The names are
isolated
so
the
confusing.
yeah, he isolated the 1v1s how he needed to. He gets this first pick on the bottom spiral player. He's able to get the second, turns around, knows that there's going to be some aggression somewhere else after that pick comes through, gets the second onto Siege. He ends up eventually going down, but at that point, all that needs to happen is the Malusi then at that point to shut it down. Once again, able to isolate the gunfights. The Dokubi, who I think was hacking phones, they EMP'd something. I'm not really sure what it was. Maybe just a misinput, but was kind of looking at the ground. He's able to take advantage of it. Very nearly missed out on the kill, too. Got it eventually. Thank goodness for him. And is able to just play the 1v1 very nicely. He's able to... He almost got him on that first initial pre-fire. That could have been the round right there, but even so, he's able to waste down the clock. He's able to burn it down and eventually tuck himself into a corner where he's able to take out the ITA 12S and send SOAR to the end of that round with a victory. So we move on to this next round. We have a Gridlock. We have a Ying from SPACESHOOBS. I want to see how SOAR deals with this. They are now on that tertiary site. They need to be careful about how much of this top floor they're able to hold. I think they have a lot of players up here, but there's going to be a lot of players pushing it from all directions from Shoobs. They need to have the util and the wherewithal to play the crosses that they need to, play into the util properly, rely on the information that they have, especially with the pulse, and try to fend off this attack in through the top floor that's going to be coming in.
See if they're able to do so, and the first kill will go to the Shoobs by way of C4 as the Mendez falls Wolfsburg with that opening pick. Not going to be Scoob this time, going for the run out. Instead, it's the Pulse, and you know, with that scanner, you can get baited so easily by things like that, and unfortunately, will happen to Mendez. Is going to be able to open up this wall very easily. The only wall denial on the mute was not placed there. XGS now losing a ton of damage from mute C4 as Temp throws that one out, holding close with the shotgun, and the Warden's here as well. These two have a very powerful position, and the Legion could drop the Monty Shield, but should be shot here from Toaster, unless they don't communicate. But XGS will get it before Toaster can step on it, so the Shoobs keeping up their health, keeping up appearances for now. Minute and a half to go, but they have to clear these roamers out of the top floor. We saw it when SOAR attacked. If there is even one person left upstairs, that diffuser is nearly impossible to put on the ground.
You know, outside of that one round where Scoop pulled off the 1v2 because he was in just the right spot, but oh my goodness, a run out from, I think that's a rotate back down inside. This is insane. This guy's outside with a shotgun trying to fight back into the building, and yeah, that rotate just does not work out. Not the same as the one over by the CEO window, unfortunately, so not as easy. I think the plant started to go down, but I think it was stopped at some point. So
yeah, they stopped it.
Yeah, really nice job at a SOAR to stop that initial plant attempt, but there's still a decent amount of time to work with, and they're getting shot at from all angles. And yeah, Wolfsburg eventually shuts down Temp, who was in the Thunderdome with the entire rest of his team, the rest of the other team bearing down on him. And well, Scoob does have this vert control, but there's too many players to fend off, and Toaster's going to shut him down before he's even able to take a gaze through the vert holes. And SPACESHOOBS now, I think, move on to map point. Got it.
Yeah, tough break there. tough break there for Scoob. You know, being the only one the only one left in that position, it's good if there's like two players, but with four, there's no way to stop that. They have one upstairs, so you can't rotate down, and you know they're just going to keep shuffling around that bomb site. Unfortunate there for the Fenrir. That is the way the cookie crumbles. The SOAR now need all the next 3 defensive rounds. It's doable. We saw the SPACESHOOBS do it on their final 3 defensive rounds. Just have to copy that, and they can go upstairs and downstairs one more time each, but they are going to have to win at least one mid-floor site, either that Piano Expo or the split, if they want to take this.
Yeah, just 3 more rounds at maximum to go in regulation, and as you mentioned, they do need to win one of those mid-floor sites, but first they need to win the top and bottom floors as well, as I assume that's going to be their site rotation. So They're going to try to set it up here with some wall denial with the K. They're going to have a lot of traps and information to stall out any shield play. They have the Ella, they have the Smoke, they have the Legion. Plenty of utility to make a shield player's life a living hell. And they have the Warden as well. And I think that's properly picked. They've been bringing the Ying a lot on SPACESHOOBS. I think that they have the utility that they need to fend off this attack. But you see the Amaru, you see the Nook. They're very likely going to have a very specific kind of set play that they go for here. So I want to see SOAR be ready for that and able to anticipate that. Obviously, you can't read the future, but if they get caught off guard in this round or in either of the next two, it's not going to go well for them. So they need to have diligence to make sure that they don't get caught off guard.
True words have never been spoken, SOAR here. Need to play near flawless siege. So we'll see what happens. Runouts have been kind of making them the victim the last couple rounds. Hopefully not going to continue this time. If you're a SOAR fan, oh no, Scoob is looking the wrong direction. There's the Nook. We've talked about it, we've seen it, and now we've experienced it one more time. Teddy lurking in through the downstairs yellow door. Did not fully break the barricade, so poor Scoob did not have any idea. Was unfortunately passed in every round. I think you're going to be a big member onto this Monty, but the C4 tossed very, very early will not land a single point of damage onto them. And you can see the SPACESHOOBS are still wary of these runouts because of how much SOAR has been doing them. The Monty turns the wrong way, takes a little bit of damage from Temp inside the console office. Sorry, rather, Mendez, it looks like. Now with the Smoke is going to force the Monty down a level.
Yeah, there was definitely an opportunity to kill him there, too, if he's able to swing around at the right time. Warden just downstairs as well, tries to kill the Monty if he's unaware, but trades go back and forth, and it's now a 3v4. Minute 15 left on the clock, and a lot of these players still up. Schmick still has the opportunity to use the Amaru shotgun, make his way in, but he hasn't yet. And in the meantime, Poster goes down, evening out the man count, and Smoke is trying to make a play here onto the gray window, but he's getting pinched from both sides. Is able to take down the shotgun player, or the shield player of Exige. A melee kill from Volsper onto Mendez. Suddenly turns this into a 2v1, and Schmink gets the final kill. SPACESHOOBS winning out that map, and in turn, the series. They push themselves into the playoffs. They send SOAR out, and while there was maybe an opportunity, they fall flat.
I don't know how in that scenario you allow the double knife, but it happens.
Was it double knife?
I believe it was. The second one was a knife for sure. I am reasonably confident. The first one was. I was just too focused on how the shotgun shot missed. I completely thought that shot hit from SOAR. I didn't think the Ying had a snowball's chance of surviving that one, but they do regardless. The SPACESHOOBS will take both maps 7-3. As promised, we will have those results up fairly soon here, so we can see how this final XGS division shakes out. The result is the same. The SPACESHOOBS winning both will help their chances, and on the flip side, SOAR are definitely going to be struggling for placement. Still do have the end of series replays, but going forward, regardless of which team gets into the playoffs, we'll see in just a few seconds. They're both contenders, they both have their moments, and the Shoobs here get a big redemption for their 2-0 loss yesterday.
Yeah, most definitely. They're able to pull it back and make sure that their record was just good enough to make their way into the playoffs. They'll have to contend with a number of other good teams from both divisions eventually, but for now, they've done enough to make their way just a little bit further.
True. I cannot wait to see the final round replay if it shows up. I need to get the confirmation if it's a double knife or not. Yep, was a double knife from Wolfsburg. Gotta love it. I mean, what? Not a fitting end to this game, but what a climactic one. As you can see, the series wrap up. Unfortunately for us, didn't get to see Skyscraper. I feel like always one of the casters' favorite maps is Skyscraper. I know me personally, at least. Regardless, some very nice gameplay for the Shoobs. You were talking about round differentials and stuff, and there is a +8 for the Shoobs, so they get it done here. We'll throw it to the standings in just a second to see how the rest of the teams shake up. As a reminder, this was a final play day for the XGS division. There are still games going on over at TPL, which we'll be sure to send to in just a little bit. But first, we will have to see how this division shaked out and what teams are getting into the playoffs.
That'd be good to take a look here to see, and There we go. There's the XGS division. You can also see the TPL division down below, but that isn't quite done yet. There are still a few more matches to play there, but XGS division, you can see Core taking the top spot, didn't drop a single game, only dropped a single map in one of their matchups. Kikimori not far behind, only lost to Core, bringing in second place. SPACESHOOBS with their 2-0 victory over SOAR will push themselves into third place. Core Academy in fourth. SOAR and the Freezer, unfortunately for them, they will not make it into the playoffs.
No, they will not. We can see here, of course, the core org rather has to be very happy with how those games went. Both of their rosters make it into the final 6. Of course, a reminder for anyone that doesn't know, first 2 teams in each division get a little bit of a bye into the playoffs. 3 and 4 enter a more kind of close to a wild card scenario to see where these teams battle out. Unfortunately, 5 and 6 both go home, so SOAR and the Freezer will not be making it. That being said, that's going to be all for us today on the XGS stream. Once again, I've been Kingfisher, joined here by Painless. But as you can see, the TPL division games are still going on. Currently, it's a Certified Lover Boys taking on Carnico over on their channel. And later tonight, Turtle Tactics will take on Outlast. So make sure you hop over there, watch the rest of these games as the season is close to wrapping up. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we will see you next time over on the other stream.